Right now, I'm still working with her and other upcoming art. I like working with new artists. After Morissette, I've worked with, I think, more of the boy band sides. I've worked with Hashtags. I worked with Boy Band PH. I've worked with JM De Guzman. I've lost count, but Team Pavino's new album, and it's produced by me. In line with my 10th year anniversary, I've released the first part of my EP. It's called Kicks After Dark. Kicks, parang short for Kiko. I have to cut it in two.
When did you release this?
I released the first one on the last week of September, I guess. The first part, well, of course, if we're talking about a celebration of my music, of course, Morissette should be there. That's why our first track is a duet from Morissette and Jason D. It's entitled Diyan Ba Sa Langit.
Giliw, dyan ba sa langit at tuloy mong iibigin itong ating pag-ibig hanggang dyan ba sa langit sinta.
I have one solo track and another track. I worked with this other producer. His name is Theo Martel. Another artist is Nico Victor. Yeah, it's only 3 songs because well, that's the intention of releasing an EP. That's why it has only a few tracks, because all the tracks are intentionally good for a release, to be released, unlike a full album for a 10-track album wherein we only focus on the key tracks like 2 or 3. It's an industry thing now, because I think it's more rewarding for both songwriters and the artists to really, and also you really put more hard work on each track. On the second part, it's called it's still called Kicks After Dark, but with a second hour. The first one is the Kicks After Dark first hour. Now this is the second hour. It features the artist Jeremy G. The track is Sayo. And another one is an upcoming group, an electro pop group, 3 Days 2 Nights. That's the only tracks for that.
So 2 tracks.
It's exciting because I'm introducing 2 new artists here, and this is gonna be Jeremy G's first ever single.
Pinipigil damdamin, binubulong sa hangin. Maaari bang maging akin ka?
So I feel like I still it reminds me of how I was excited about Morissette during Akin Ka Na Lang, because that was her first single ever. The whole album is intentionally a tribute to my musical influences. So for this track for Jeremy, it was my tribute to Brian McKnight. So you will expect more of the high notes and the riffs. Yes, and the loneliness of the song. It's a sad song. Yeah, it's a sad song. I consider myself successful in a way that now I can work with almost any artist that I can think of. For composers, a lot of us would really say that it's about a hit song. One hit song is already a success. But yes, I consider that a success, of course. But I cannot say that my other songs that weren't as big as Akin Na Lang were not a success. I think that's why I think success is that feeling of fulfillment, that feeling of when a goal is achieved. That's already a success. That's a blessing, both a blessing and success. And I can produce songs on my own. 10 years ago, I couldn't even pay a studio. I couldn't even, That's how I consider success. Yeah, I would agree that fulfillment is when you hear your songs on the radio, when it's charting the radio, when people sing it on the shows. Yes, when more than that, I think being fulfilled is when you can freely decide when you on something you want to do without without submitting to a certain norm. Because this album is a fulfillment in a way, because half of it or 80% of it, I'm not conforming with what the current music industry is dictating, or I'm not conforming with a certain trend. So fulfillment is more of a certain level of freedom as an artist. On the music side, I still dream about working with a lot of artists. I haven't, like, for example, I haven't worked yet with Mr. Gary V and other great artists. My dream is to really stay on this track for like the next 10 or 15 or 20 years, as long as I can still write. That's a dream. My advice for the younger and the aspiring composers, I always tell them to never limit yourself. They always ask me, what's the right thing to write now? What was the right structure? I always tell them, just write anything you want for now. Don't limit yourself until such a time that there has to be a limit. Be creative, be free, and love what you do. You just gotta love what you do. For more palabas tayo, nabubulol na ako. For more palabas tayo videos, subscribe now.